What's going on, guys? Greek Freak here, and in this video we're going to be talking about the Houston Rockets and now a plan that they are now making to try to sign Jimmy Butler through a sign and trade through the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, as we all know, Jimmy Butler, a free agent, has the ability to, of course, sign a 5-year max deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, they do not plan on making directly a 5-year deal with them and doing a sign and trade, as we all know, the Rockets are full of cap space, especially concerning the contract within Chris Paul. Now, one thing that definitely came in this situation is now they are repealing sort of all the rumors that have come out that James Harden and Chris Paul have not been arguing, which in reality is more or less probably just lies to cover up what has actually happened. But they do now want a 4-year deal, max deal, signed by Jimmy Butler to the 76ers, and they end up getting a sign and trade. Now, this is a benefit for both teams if Jimmy Butler is interested in going to the Houston Rockets. Now, the main reason for this would be, of course, if you're Philadelphia, you get something out of a player leaving in Jimmy Butler. And not only that, you can still be able to retain somebody like Tobias Harris if that's the situation. Now, for the Houston Rockets, of course, you're gaining another all-star caliber player to go wrong with their team, and another defensive player, which is highly needed on that Houston Rockets team whenever we do look at it. Now, a situation that I definitely have to think here is, of course, that mashing now. As far as how their game's going to definitely play out in this situation, we know the fact that as far as Jimmy Butler's stats this season, having around 18 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, shooting around 46% from the field, and around 36% from the three-point line. So whenever we really look at the fact that Jimmy Butler has been able to perform at most of the ends here, I think the fact that we're talking about many things as far as being able to play both ends of the floor, something once again that Houston team needs. We saw what Trevor Ariza was a huge benefit, and it took Houston Rockets a long time to be able to recover from that. And it required James Harden to go out there and have to have almost a historic season just to keep this team really afloat. And even at the end, with just a few bad games, they ended up falling down and having a harder first round matchup, and of course facing the Warriors earlier than they would like to. So in a situation like this, we're definitely going to have to see what type of team that they can actually form up here. Now, the real question is going to be, what are the Houston Rockets going to trade in this? Obviously, they don't have to match the salary as much, but they really do in this sense here. So Philadelphia does not have to match the salary, obviously, but of course Houston's going to have to, due to the fact that they're in their cap situation, and if anything, they would want to get rid of more cap space. But in the reality is, they're most likely going to have to get rid of something such as other players other than, of course, Chris Paul and James Harden. So really in this situation, we're going to have to see them getting a few more pieces in. Most likely Philadelphia would get 3-point shooters, 3-and-D type of people, probably like people like PJ Tucker. I think the fact that would be probably a good addition that's going to have to be into the deal. But of course, the other pieces, that's going to be the real question as far as how they try to form that up. Now, as far as this, will this team be good enough to really perform? Now, I think on paper, this team would be a good enough team to perform depending on what they give up. As we all know, giving another option here, it's definitely something that can actually happen here. Now, my main issue would definitely have to be with this team is going to be the chemistry issue. We already, of course, know that Chris Paul and James Harden have had arguments and problems going out throughout them. So whenever we sit there and see something like that, it really makes you have to question, because you're getting another player in Jimmy Butler who is very ball dominant when we think about him too. So adding another player that's ball dominant to this equation may be very, very questionable. And if they don't have high success, I don't see this team really going off good, especially if it goes down south at the beginning of the season like it did last season. I don't see them being capable of actually recovering from it in that situation if this happens. So the real question is Jimmy Butler going to really be interested in signing with the Houston Rockets? Now, the only major benefits I can definitely give you for Jimmy Butler's side of this is of course going to be, he's going to go back to his home state. Of course, Houston is a place that has no income tax, so he would get more of that $4 million. But if money was the situation, he would just sign with Philadelphia. So in this, I'm not sure whether or not Jimmy Butler would be interested in this type of trade. But as I mentioned, of course, with the situation that he would know, his usage rate would definitely have to go down, being on a team with two other, if you even want to consider, but point guards in that case. Now, James Harden, of course, a more willing passer than most people who are ball dominant, but we do know how James Harden's usage rate definitely goes up and how he usually gets those assists, which is by running out the shot clock and passing it more or less in the last second to three-point shooters, which definitely is not Jimmy Butler's specialty, is just being a catch and shoot three-point shooter. We're used to him being able to be a playmaker, being able to facilitate the ball. So to me, the real question is going to be, would that happen? Would the chemistry issues between James Harden and Chris Paul reappear here? Now, I expected the fact that they were going to be arguing, and I didn't take too much of the reports of the arguments that they were having, due to the fact that, of course, when you lose in the playoffs, I expect the fact that you're going to have frustrations that come out. Now, of course, what we had heard was it was a situation where they went up to the front office and they said, it's either him or me in this situation. And I think the fact that if you have something like that, it's hard to really just turn that back around. But I think the fact that the Houston Rockets see what happened to the Warriors and they're going to try to make a final move to try to put them over the hump and try to compete with the teams like Los Angeles Lakers and maybe the Clippers, depending on what they do during this offseason. So when you look at this, I think the fact that this is a real situation that they could be trying to attempt here. But I'm not sure how chemistry-wise this team's going to work out. And once again, what do they have to give up in order to make this trade actually happen? And is Jimmy Butler willing to actually want this trade? Now, the Rockets can want it all they want. The reality is Jimmy Butler going to be interested in it? And that's what I want to know from you guys. Do you guys think the fact that Jimmy Butler is interested in this team, and what team do you think he will sign with and be with this season, next season coming up? I would really like to know what you guys' thoughts are, so make sure that you guys leave that in the comments below. I'd like to know. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you guys leave a like and subscribe to become part of the Greek Army today. And as always, this is Sparta.